the peak demand loads are always going to be in the summertime, July, August, June, July, August. Think air conditioning. June, July, September looks like it was a hot month in 2017.
Okay.
So it's those peak demand loads that here we have a building and here we have residential units in that building that are all drawing on electrical power. We have the common corridors and the garage and all the common equipment, which is also drawing on electrical power. These peak demand loads reflect all of the power in the entire building. And that's why, and Ottawa Hydro installs a bulk meter in each of these buildings that is never read for billing purposes because they have sub-meters further downstream that go to unit 201 and unit 804. Those meters are read for billing purposes, but this bulk meter is the only one that Hydro Ottawa needs to look at in order to provide these peak demand.
And that's very specific data. So that's for the Piccadilly building for a certain point in time.
They have it per day.
Okay.
Per day, per building, per whatever year.
So
it is super exact.
So
it's not an estimate, It's approximately this. This is a very specific number.
So, in the context of the portal that NRCan is thinking of building, would you expect to be able to find that kind of detailed information on a portal where you have government and industry and regulators and service providers contributing data and content?
Well, that would, whether Hydro Ottawa will actually do that, who knows, that's up to them.
Yeah.
But basically, it would be handy if John Morton, my electrical engineer, would say, Rick, just give me 10 minutes. I'm just going to log into the portal and put in the address for this building, and it'll link me over to the Hydro Ottawa server that all I have to do is put in the bulk meter for this particular building, and it'll give me the history of the peak demand load for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Instead, what I had to do is, John Morton is saying, Rick, get in touch with Hydro Ottawa, fill out the appropriate forms, submit them so that Hydro Ottawa will release that information then, Rick, to you. Once you get it, Rick, send it to me, and I'll use that to do the math.
Okay. That's a big process, right?
It's not bad. It's a big process that takes 2 weeks. That's not the end of the world. If it was on the portal, would it be great? Of course, it would be great. I personally think I like simplistic things first. So it would be nice if the portal had step-by-step directions on how you need to solve that black box. That's what would be helpful. I intuitively know who I need to speak to just because of what I do for a living. Can I do all the math on my own? No, I can't do all the math on my own. And so am I spending some money for each of these buildings in order to get this analysis? Yes, I'm spending some money. Am I spending a lot of money? I'm spending very little money.
Okay.
These engineers are $125 an hour. What we're looking at here and here and here is, 2 to 3 hours worth of work.
Okay.
Again, in the grand scheme of things, it's petty cash for these buildings. As long as I'm not, just frittering away the money, which I'm not.
Yes.
I'm coming up with an actual approach a plan that they will follow in order to do this? Because normally when I go on these sites, it's all too vague as to actually what you have to do.
Okay.
You know, well, you have to determine whether the infrastructure in your building will support EV charging. Okay.
But they don't tell you how to do that.
How exactly do I do that?
Yeah.
Tell me who I should speak to. You know? I'm not going to call up my local counselor to ask him that. I'm not going to call up ABC residential electrician to do that. So Hydro Ottawa is not going to do the work for me. How exactly do I do that?
Yeah.
You know?
So detailed information, detailed instruction, those are things that you'd be looking for. So you have a network of people you can rely on. You know the type of information.
Yeah.
Do you hear questions from potential buyers or even contractors or subcontractors that you work with about EVs and what's coming down the line?
No. Our designers, when I say designers, I don't mean the designers for the baseboard, you know, and the pretty hardware. Our electrical engineers, our project architects, you know, they are fully aware of, you know, Ontario Building Code issues relating to electric vehicle charging, both Part 3 of the Building Code and Part 9 of the Building Code. Basically, Part 3 and Part 9, for the most part, being wood frame versus concrete.
Okay.
So they're fully aware of that. The provincial government, you know, recently released proposed regulations under the Condominium Act.
Okay.
And this is December 2017 to facilitate the charging of electric vehicles in condos. You know,
how do you keep abreast of the changes in the regulations at the different levels of jurisdiction?
How do I keep abreast of it? Again, just through my network of people. Property managers are sending me this information, or condominium lawyers are sending me this, and you know, our architects or engineers are sending me this stuff. How does your average person keep track of it? You know what? Other than maybe following the news, Googling it, I have no idea. I don't know how they would otherwise do it. Okay. You know, most individuals are not following Condominium Act regulations that may be coming down the pipe. They're just not doing that.
Yeah.
Same thing. They don't follow building code. You know, whatever. Most homeowners are just watching Entertainment Tonight. You know.
Yeah. They're
so
lucky, yeah.
Anyhow, I'm not trying to be judgmental when I say that, but this is, and so as I see this multitude of information that is all coming together in a relatively short period of time, then I'm, you know what? We, and when I say we, I don't just mean domicile we, I mean we as in the other buildings that we've just finished constructing, we really need to get out ahead of the game here. Otherwise, there'll be a major scramble as the big hammer comes down and says, you have to do this. Even these condominium regulations, and we'll see what actually gets approved. But where am I? There's a bunch of stuff here. You know, it is proposed that a condominium incorporation must approve an owner's request to install an EV charging station